Oversimplification gets us in a lot of trouble in life, but we're forced to do it. But I'm going to give you some oversimplified answers, okay? Number
Mhm.
one, fear is the thing that takes the longest to beat. I stopped stuttering around age 30. I didn't stop fear until I was about 40. Now, should it take you 10 years to do what it took me? No. That doesn't mean that I stuttered more than you necessarily. It means that I didn't know what to do about it. Now, what I'm going to tell you is if you can beat fear and you can beat it faster, but the way that you got to do a couple of things. One is you cannot allow yourself to appear to be a stutterer in your mind, whatever that is in your mind. And you part of it is you got to cut yourself some slack in the sense that you're not perfect. You're one of us. You're a human being, and you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes and repeat words or force a word once in a while. That does not make me sound like a stutterer. So you've got to grade yourself better than you have, but you must have no bad incidents. That is clearly appearing to be a stutterer. That's got to stop. We use our crutches and speech plans to do it. And if you're not able to stop it, I think you are. But if you weren't, I would say you need to work on the crutches and or on your speech plan. You want to beat fear? We all do. Number one, you're not going to have any bad incidents. You're not going to appear, that is to say, to be a stutterer. You're going to make mistakes. Fine. But you're not going to appear to be a stutterer. That's number one. Number two, exposure. If you want to learn to swim, you've got to swim. If you want to learn tennis, you've got to play tennis. Anything you want to learn, you've got to do it. Now, for you to overcome fear or anybody, you've got to confront your fear. You need to go where you have fear. With you, it may be authority figures. With somebody else, it may be the phone. With somebody else, it may be their parent. With somebody else, it may be, I mean, it can be anything, any small group. I had one guy I coached, he could talk fine to one person. The minute a second person walked up, he had a problem. Two people was a group to this guy. So whatever your fear situation is, you need to put yourself in those situations, not 24 hours a day, but on some basis, you need to put yourself in those situations and you need to be successful. That is to say, not perfect, you're not going to be perfect, but you're not going to appear to be speech disabled. And you've got to a little every time you put yourself in what's a difficult situation for you, you talk a little bit more. And then the next time you're in there, you talk a little bit more. And the next time a little bit more. And after a while, you can talk all day long under pressure and you say, "What was the problem here? I didn't have a problem. It's all in here. We know that." So you've got to exposure. Number one, you cannot allow yourself to appear to be a stutterer. That's number one. I'll call that bad incidents, okay? Stuttering is caused by holding back and thinking words. When you think message, how can you say it like you really mean it? You practice. Look, I've written my last book is 700 pages. You don't need one word in this book. If you can think the message and not hold back on the message and commit yourself to the message, you don't need anything else. But there are very few people who still stutter who can make that leap at one shot. They have to prove to themselves. When you learn our basic crutches and speech plans, these are tools that keep you from wiping out, from being humiliated, from being embarrassed, from being shut down. And once you realize that you know these methods well enough to avoid ever appearing that way again, you can then focus on message as I am doing right now. The words are the last thing you need to think when you're speaking. For prepared speech, it's different. You write it out and memorize it or whatever, or read it. But in a conversation, we think message, we think passion. We think what you should be thinking is not what word am I going to say? You should be thinking, how can I say it like I mean it? You should be thinking how, How. How can I say it like I mean it? So that's the thing on fear, and that's the biggest message today.